somewhere? Yeah.
I should. So I put it. Okay. So I put it on the website, and I just put it in the Discord.
Yeah.
And I have previously shared the website to the Discord.
Is it in any of the
So we-
groups?
No, so I was gonna do like see how this one goes, and then like if everything goes smoothly, because
You don't want to go like all in all at once. I got that.
yeah,
Makes
we'll go
sense.
in all in. Yeah.
Makes sense. I brought a laptop. Is this interactive? Or?
That'll be next month.
Next month, got it.
This one's just like theory, like methodology,
Cool.
theory, and the next month we'll. I have a homework slide at the end. Everyone has homework. Yeah.
Can you put that up first? So it's
I mean, just install,
great trigger.
install Android Studio. I mean, that's it. And then we'll be ready to go. All right, I guess we can get started.
And action.
So my name's Jeremy. I don't know. We have a couple new faces here. I should have put an about me slide. That's a mistake. Obviously, I just noticed. But basically, I'm a penetration tester. I'm a senior penetration tester at Oracle. I've been there 4 years now, and then I was in consulting for about 4 or 5 years before that. I actually didn't go to school for computer science. I went to school for business. I went to Union County College, like not far from here in Cranford. Yeah, just kind of had like a meandering path into cybersecurity. So I worked in finance. I was a stockbroker. I played online poker for a living for a bit. I sold gaming computers, worked with Dimitri here. And yeah, so just kind of had like a meandering way into InfoSec, so like a lot of different people here. So we'll move on. So DEF CON 908, we meet monthly here. It was the last Thursday of every month, but now it's kind of shuffled around a bit. But I think we'll be in the newsletter, and then if you join our Discord or check our website or meetup.com, you can see upcoming talks and meetups. So organizers, so we have Dan in the back, me, Jeremy, myself. We have Ben here. I think Sid's on his way, and Matt is here in spirit, I guess. And yeah, so basically, we're always looking for people to give talks, even if you know, this is your first time or you're just getting into security. If you have any fun side projects or anything that you want to talk about. We also have been trying to do resume reviews, right? Recently we've done a few for people, so interview practice, resume reviews, things like that, career guidance. But basically, it's an open meetup, so whatever topics anyone wants to talk about, that's what we're here for. All experience levels too. So if you have zero interest, zero experience, if you've been here for, you know, if you've been in InfoSec for 10 years, whatever, everyone's welcome. So basically what we need for volunteers, basically everything. So any kind of management, social media, handling website, scheduling, helping find people, give talks, yeah, anything like that. So we've done introductions before. I did my introduction. I don't know if any of the other organizers want to do one.
Yeah. Can you hear the audience?
Nope.
Oh, we have
But I
a
will
yeah, we have a
give you, there's a
microphone.
mic up here, so I
Yeah.
can give you the handheld mic.
Alright.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
So many extra logistics. Here we go.
Yeah. Let's just.
Here we go.
Hello.
Get the one person.
Here you go.
All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Dan. I'm one of the organizers of DEF CON 908. I studied cybersecurity. I went to Stevens in Hoboken like a long time ago. After that, I did incident response for about 1.5 years at ADP. Then I did security engineering for a little bit, and then security operations there. And then I went to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York for about a year doing incident response there too. And then I started a company called Pulse Dive. We collect threat intelligence, scan URLs, and yeah, anybody? Thomas?
Hey y'all, I'm Thomas. This is my first time. I'm 23. I really got into InfoSec back in 2014 when Watchdog was released. So that's what I kind of like was my pushing off point. So I went to school for that, and I graduated in December of 2025. Now I'm working as a IT system administrator at an EHR EMR company over in East Hanover, and that's kind of where I'm at now. So nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you. Give it to Sid.
We're just doing intros.
Hey guys, I'm Sid. Sorry I'm a little late, but I'm one of the organizers here at DEF CON 908. And yeah, just I usually help set this up before the case starts, but I'm CISSP certified and I'm a senior manager at NISHEX for DevOps, IT, and security, and been here for a few years. So if you guys have any questions after Jeremy does his great speech, let me know. And yeah, we'll hand it off to whoever's next.
Nick? Sure.
My name's Nick. I'm a new member. I'm 19 and just saw this like advertisement in the library paper, and I've always been super interested in computer science, cybersecurity. So I was like, why not give it a shot? And this summer I'm working at Rutgers doing some computer science research.
You go to school there at Rutgers?
No, I go to WashU in St. Louis.
That's far.
Yeah. So coming back for the summer.
Do you commute?
No.
I'm good.
You do, Dimitri.
Anybody else like? Or do it?
Dimitri's doing it.
Not be shy. Go front to Dimitri.
There's a button to turn it off.
It's just this.
There we go.
All right, I think I turned that back on, okay. Okay, so we have a resource share in the Discord, so if you've seen any good articles, any postings, anything you want to share, that's the place to do it. I guess we should have a slide for the Discord invite. If you go to the website, I think there's a link, right, to join the
Yeah.
Discord and QR code.
okay, yeah.
Is there?
I think mine might be missing the QR code.
Oh man.
We'll figure it out.
I think defcon908.org/discord.
Okay, yeah, DEFCON.
Yeah, if you go to the website, it's there.
DEFCON908.org/Discord should have an invite, but reach out to any of us and we can get you in there as well. So we have a lot of job postings, career advice. Like I said, we've been doing resume reviews, interview practice, things like that. We're probably going to have to move this slide to the beginning. Now that it's recorded, it makes a lot more sense to tell people up front.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Also, wait, raise your hand if you're hiring. If you're currently
Yeah,
hiring.
anybody hiring any job postings?
Nope.
Okay.
Pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, Dimitri's company might be. Oracle's always hiring, so if you see any postings online for Oracle, let me know and I can refer you.
Yeah, Dimitri, I think you did post stuff in the Discord, right?
Yeah, I'll drop the careers page in again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just so folks can look and see what's there. It's like
Nice.
mostly software engineering, but
That's fine. And then raise your hand if you're looking for work.
Anybody looking? Okay, a couple of people looking for it. Okay. This slide I had to include because Dan made it with ChatGPT. Was it ChatGPT?
Yes.
All right, and he was so pumped about it. Yeah, I couldn't not include it. So yeah, it's a good slide. But so basically, we're just gonna go over like methodology today. The real fun hands-on stuff's gonna be next month when we all work on a lab together. If we all bring our laptops. But the goals today just explain what an APK is, how to unpack and inspect an Android app, read the important parts of an Android manifest, and then kind of try to identify risky components. And then obviously OWASP is kind of the gold standard for all frameworks and at least pen testing. So they're mainly known for OWASP web, but they also have a really nice mobile framework as well. And then next month we're going to work on, it's called Diva, Damn Insecure and Vulnerable App. And it's a purposely vulnerable Android application. So if you go on OWASP, they actually have, I think, 30 intentionally vulnerable Android apps and 10 intentionally vulnerable iOS apps. So a lot of practice labs there that you can work on. So we're going to go over what an APK is, how Android apps are structured, how they communicate internally and externally, kind of what you're looking for to begin with, and then also how to kind of map their top 10 findings and what we're looking for, and then we'll go over kind of what's needed for next month. And to go over some ground rules, We have the terms and conditions in the Discord when you join it, but basically it comes down to we're not criminals, so don't commit crimes. We're here to learn and to practice. So we're going to test apps safely. We're going to use practice labs and practice apps. You want to test apps that you own, have made yourself, or have permission to test. Please don't go home and download your Chase Bank app or Bank of America and start poking at it, because it's not going to end well and you're going to have a bad time. So don't attack any real users, any services or production systems. We're just here to kind of understand how applications work and how to look for vulnerabilities. So usually, I think the saying is, if you really want to understand something, you got to be able to teach it. So when I was writing this presentation, it turns out I don't know anything about Android. So basically, to get started, you need root on a device, which is like a super user or admin. And so if you have a physical phone, we can do the labs. If you want to bring an old Android phone, you can, but I recommend just using Android emulator. It's a lot easier. It's already rooted. You don't have to run any exploits on it. And it's just all contained in one laptop, and you can drag and drop APKs and install applications. It's much easier than fiddling with kind of old hardware and all different versions of things. So basically, what is an APK? It's a package format for Android apps. So it's basically just a zip file. So it has all the compiled app code. It's got resources, all the pictures and everything, backgrounds, buttons, sound effects, whatever the case may be. It's got a manifest file that describes what's in it. It's going to have signatures and metadata, so the digital signatures that the developers have signed. So the first thing you want to do is just unzip it, and obviously you had to include some memes in the slides. And so everything's a zip file, always has been. So everything is always a zip file, always, no matter what you're working on. It's probably a zip file. So anatomy of an APK. So you're going to have the Android manifest XML, which kind of describes what's in the app. So it'll say the permissions, what components there are, deep links, any exported surfaces. You're going to have classes.dex. That's where you're going to have your compiled Java code. It might have Kotlin as well, but I haven't really done much mobile testing lately, but mostly Android is still all Java, especially at Oracle. Self-explanatory. You're going to have the resources folder, so it'll have layouts and like XML configs. Assets folder will have all the extra files, maybe some hidden config files or things like that. The lib folder is going to have native libraries, so these are going to be C or C++ files like crypto libraries and things like that if developers are doing things correctly and not trying to roll their own crypto. And then meta-inf is going to have just like the signing data and things like that. So code flow. So usually, like I said, they're written in Java or Kotlin, and the way it works is you have the source, and it composes a dex bytecode, and then it goes to the Android runtime. So when you're reverse engineering it, you're going to unzip the APK, and then you might have to decompile to get the Java code. Usually it's a lot easier than iOS, and that's why I chose Android. I thought about doing just a mobile pen testing talk, but there's so much that goes into each, and there's a lot of differences, so it's very confusing. The problem is pen testing is not like a beginner subject, and then mobile testing is like an even more niche thing of pen testing. So there's a reason why usually when people get into pen testing or bug bounties, they start with web apps because it's the most well-known, it's the easiest to get into. But so usually the beginner takeaway is you're going to unzip the application and you're going to try to start looking at the Java source code. Now, I haven't actually done, I don't think, any mobile tests since I've been using AI a lot more, but it's going to be a lot easier now just having the accessibility and being able to ask ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever you're using. And there's some really cool things happening with Ghidra and reverse engineering. So now they have like MCP servers, so it used to be really hard to reverse engineer iOS binaries, but now you can actually have Ghidra do it for you. And when it decompiles it, everything's obfuscated, so you can't really read the function names or class names and things like that. But the robot actually knows exactly what it's doing. It'll give it names for you, and they're usually very accurate. So is going to be kind of a cool thing going forward that I haven't really experimented with, but maybe that will be another future talk. So why does the manifest matter? So it basically describes the app. It says everything it does. It says the permissions that the app has or can request from the operating system. It'll have activities, services, broadcast receivers, content providers, deep links, backup behavior, what's allowed to be backed up, any network security settings. It'll even have operating system version, like what's allowed, which APKs you're allowed to use, or sorry, SDKs. So it'll say, this can only run on Android 10 and newer or something like that. So you can kind of set min and max versions of the operating system. So what's an activity? So the different components, an activity is like the screen that the user sees. And so on an activity screen, what do you want to kind of think of when you're looking at activity? Can another app open it, or can another app kind of run an activity in this app? A service is just like a service on a PC. It's just a background worker. And one of the things you're looking for, can another app start a service for the application? Can it bind to it? Broadcast receivers are kind of just listeners listening for anything. So the phone, like if your phone has the low battery, it can send out a broadcast and all the applications can pick it up. So say for Uber, when it knows that your battery's 10% and they jack the prices up, it's because it's looking for a broadcast receiver for the battery status. And then content providers, so it's kind of a data sharing interface. So can another app read or write data? So content providers will be like when you're using Google Calendar or things like that. It's kind of the interplay between kind of Google official apps. And then so Android intents, it's kind of like a messaging. So intents are Android messages. They can start activities, they can start or bind services, they can send broadcasts, they can carry data, and then they can trigger app behavior from inside or outside the app. So one of the things we want to look for is, can an attacker-controlled app, can we send an intent that can cause bad behavior? So can we trigger something in another app maybe if we've compromised this one? So like an abuse example is, so an app sends an intent to open a profile screen, so an attacker can send the same intent with modified data. So can we get access to someone else's profile? And a way to test it, we'll see next month, is when we're using ADB. ADB is Android Debug Bridge, and it can connect to either USB to a phone, or it'll talk to the emulator. And you can actually start things in the app. So you can have the phone open, and you can just open different screens and kind of navigate the app with ADB. And so one of the things we want to look for is, can we get the app to crash? Can maybe we bypass some logins? Can we open some sensitive screens maybe we're not supposed to see? Is there any unsafe handling of anything in the app? So broadcast receivers, like we're saying, so the things that Android itself will send out is, the device was just booted, network status has changed, so have you connected to Wi-Fi or 5G? Is the battery low? Or is there some kind of other custom broadcast? And so one of the things we want to know is, does the receiver trust data from an untrusted sender? Does the application only trust Android broadcast, or does it trust any broadcast? So we want to try and send fake broadcasts and then see how the app kind of behaves. Deep links, you guys might have seen this. So it's just launching app behavior from URLs. So something like a reset password is an example here, but I'm sure you've seen something like Spotify // and you can just open the link and it'll pop open a playlist or a song that someone shared with you, something like that. The risk with that is you can, if they've included deep links in the application, you can use it for authentication bypass, you can redirect, you can trigger sensitive actions. There's a lot you can do there. So you want to check, does the app validate who's opening the link and kind of what data is inside of it. And then services, so services run in the background like we talked about, so it'll music playback when you see in the notification, or kind of pull down if you have Spotify playing. That's just like a background service. There's all kinds of sync jobs, like constantly checking for notifications or other API calls. And so we want to see, can another app start a service for the app that you're testing? And then content providers, like I said, it's things like contacts, calendar data, files, anything like that. So can another app read, write, or access data of the application? And then the last thing is web views. So anytime you open a kind of web page in an app, it's acting kind of as its own browser, and that's the web view that you see. And so a lot of kind of browser attacks work in web views. So like as JavaScript enabled, are there untrusted URLs loaded? Can you access files? You know, you might be able to get cross-site scripting or something like that in a web view. And so we want to see, can web contact interact with the code or any local files through a web view. So we talked about ADB. This is the application you're going to use to interact with the application from your laptop. So ADB devices will show any devices that are connected to your laptop. ADB install app.apk, that'll install the application either on the emulator or on an Android phone you have plugged in. And then ADB shell gives you like a Linux shell that you can just connect on the phone. And if it's an emulator, you'll have root access. ADB logcat just lets you read the logs for the device, the system logs. ADB pulls files, and ADB pushes files to the device. So it's basically like a remote control when you're testing a physical device or the emulator. So what do we want to use when we're looking at an APK file? So we want to unzip it. We could use JADX or JD GUI, something like that, to read the code. You could use VS Code because once it's unzipped and you decompiled, you can just read all the Java files. APK tool will be used to decompile any bytecode or anything like that. And then obviously you're going to use grep or search to search for hard-coded password. You'd be surprised like how many hard-coded passwords or hard-coded API keys or tokens that developers include in apps. Even at Fortune 500 companies, it's insane how bad some of the practices are. And then so what are we looking for in the manifest file that might be suspicious? So if they left the debuggable true flag set, that's not good. Allow backups, also not good. And it'll list all of the exported activities and services of receivers in the app. It'll list all the content providers, all the file paths, any deep links, network security, and like TLS configuration stuff will be in there. And then like I said, minimum and target SDK versions. So you want your application to be, I think like the going kind of best practice is, I think the current version that's out now of your operating system -1, just for like compatibility. But some people release applications and don't put any minimum version. You can run it on a 20-year-old phone, and the problem is you're missing 20 years of security patching and then security functionality and features that Android and Google have included. So it can kind of open up a lot of vulnerabilities. Got another meme here of me trying to find a SQL injection in an Android app. Just had to ChatGPT make that one for me. So here's the OWASP mobile top 10. So as of 2024, I think was the last time this was updated. This is the top 10 vulnerabilities that they see. And so it's improper credential usage, inadequate supply chain security, insecure authentication or authorization, insufficient input and output validation, insecure communication, privacy controls, binary protections, misconfigurations, and then data storage and cryptography. So you probably see a lot of overlap with this and web applications because mobile apps are basically just web applications running on a device. So some examples of this is mishandled passwords tokens. Like I said, they're going to be hard-coded in the code itself. Any config files, or maybe you enter your password and it's just logging your password in plain text in the application logs. It's big no-no. And then example finding an API key that's hard-coded and anyone can find it. It's just plain text. Supply chain security. So applications use a lot of third-party apps and third-party libraries, and so those are going to have vulnerabilities built into them or CVEs, and developers will just include old versions and not even think about it. And so you're opening up your application to those issues. So authentication and authorization, again, it's going to be the same as web apps. So kind of looking for the same things. Can a low privileged user, access high privileged things that they shouldn't? Input and output validation, again, it's gonna be like web apps, so you can find cross-site scripting, you can find anything that's not sanitized. You wanna sanitize stuff that's coming in, and you wanna be sanitizing stuff that's displayed to the user. Insecure communication, so that's gonna be, not encrypting network traffic, anything like that, API endpoints. Again, a lot of overlap with web apps. So inadequate privacy controls. So this one's going to have like a bit of a case study that I included. So when you think of phone apps, there's a lot of free apps and not necessarily open source. So they're made by companies, but they're free apps. And anytime you're using a free app, you are the product. They're collecting your data. And one of the things specifically with phone apps and phones in general is like social media as well, they're collecting way more than they need to. So like in security, we have the principle of like least privilege. There's no principle, at least that I know of, for like least data collection. There should be, but every application is collecting way more data on you than it should or it needs to. So you want to check to see what the app's collecting, what it stores, what it shares, what it exports, any kind of analytics SDKs they're using, crash reporting, permissions, any privacy sensitive screens. So you want to see if the app's sending any sensitive health or location data without notifying the user. So when I worked in consulting, we had consumer reports reach out to us. And so they wanted us to test all the free period tracking apps on both iOS and Android. And so the reason that they came up with this was in 2012, so that's 14 years ago, a teenage girl got pregnant, and based on her browsing habits, shopping at Target, they started sending her flyers and stuff for like pregnancy, goods and like anything that they sold. And it turned out that her father found out, he was like, my wife's not pregnant, what's going on? Turns out they found out their daughter was pregnant based on the marketing that they got from Target, just targeting her. And so Consumer Reports wanted to come to us and say, okay, we want you to go through all these free apps and kind of see what data are they sharing and what are they exposing, because most of these are free. And so that's kind of what they were concerned about, and they wanted to rank them based on which ones were best for privacy. And so that's kind of the engagement that we did. So we did it in 2020, and then I think we did a follow-up in 2022. And basically, so period tracker apps, they collect like deeply personal information. So, how often you're having sex, whether you're trying to have a baby, if you get pregnant, maybe you've had a miscarriage. So it's a lot of very sensitive, personal health information. And the average person is just giving this away for free. They're not even thinking twice. I don't know if you guys ever read terms and conditions for anything. I don't think I ever have that I can remember. But, nobody's going to read pages and pages of this stuff. Definitely not the average public or the average person. And so I think we did 5 apps to begin with. And so we're trying to see if they provide any guarantee that, this information is not going to be shared with third parties, even when you're signed in anonymously, you haven't created an account, you haven't, you set up your email, anything like that. And so this is what we came up with, is the privacy policy easy to understand? For the most part, they were no. Can you use the app without sharing your name and email? There was only 3 out of the 5 of them that will let you do that. And then what does the app share your data with? They all shared tons and tons of metadata, everything about you that they could get off your phone to advertisers and marketers, health researchers. Some of them you had to sign off and give permission that it would be shared. So I think 2 of the 5 didn't need your permission or didn't ask your permission. And then which ones would actually share information with your insurers and employers, and it was 1 out of the 5. And then of the apps, did you have to authenticate? 4 out of 5 of them had no authentication whatsoever. And I think only 1 of them didn't work with the password manager. And I think I forgot to include it in the screenshot, but I think none of them used MFA at all. And then this is from the 2022 follow-up. And so we're trying to see what stays on the phone, what doesn't. and basically which ones avoid third-party trackers and paid, and then which ones had transparency reports, none of them. And so they kind of ranked what they thought was the kind of the best choices for women looking to use these applications. So like I said, a lot of these findings have real world implications. And then so for insufficient binary protection, so now Android Studio and like Xcode and things, when you make mobile apps, they will automatically, when you go to build it, it'll obfuscate everything for you, like I was saying. So iOS has been doing it a lot longer, where it would just obfuscate everything, remove all the function names, class names, things like that. And so it kind of made it a pain in the butt to try and unobfuscate it, so you could kind of reverse engineer it. But so you want to see, have they tried to obfuscate anything? Is it doing any tamper checking? So there's libraries out there that you can include in the app, and it'll check to see, is this phone rooted or jailbroken? Is the user root? Is the application currently trying to be tampered with? Things like that. So that's kind of some of the things you look for. Security misconfigurations. So like I said, leaving the debug mode on in the manifest and things like that. Not encrypting network traffic. Allow backup equals true. Sometimes you can back up the application, and then what it'll do, it'll take sensitive data and not properly encrypt it, and then it'll store it in the backup, so then you can kind of poke around the backup and find things that way. Insecure data storage. So this was, it's had like another kind of facet to it before, because all phones used to have SD cards and internal storage. Now it's most phones are just internal storage only. So you could kind of see what the app is storing internally versus externally. But basically, most Android apps will have a SQLite database, and that kind of stores your data, and you want to make sure that's encrypted and see what you can see in there. But sometimes you'll find session tokens that you can reuse and things like that. And then the last thing, insufficient cryptography. So you want to see if the app uses weak crypto or strong crypto incorrectly. So sometimes even using libraries, people will do it incorrectly. Like even at Fortune 500 companies, like I said though, people try to roll their own stuff. I don't know why. Please don't ever try to roll your own auth or crypto. It's fun to do for practice or just as a learning exercise, but there's a lot smarter people than you that have already figured this stuff out. So please use the libraries that are already made. And so, yeah, I was kind of talking at you guys. So next month's will be a lot more fun than this month. But what the homework's going to be, any laptop you have, it'll run Windows, Mac, Linux. Just install Android Studio. In Android Studio, there's going to be an emulator. It'll be easy to set up. And then you want to confirm that ADB is working, and you can install the application there in the emulator. And what we'll do is we'll all kind of try and have tables set up here. We can all try to hack it together. We'll do a walkthrough. Yep. Sid, what's up?
Is Android Studio available on all OSs, like
Yep.
Linux, Mac?
Yep, Linux, Mac, Windows. Yep. And it doesn't matter how new. You don't need a brand new MacBook. It'll run on 20-year-old hardware. I don't know about 40-year-old hardware, but we'll see. Maybe in a month we'll see what Claude can port. You want me to do it? You want me to do it on a 386? It's gonna start a fire in my apartment. So any questions? So some of the tools you might need to install. So this really isn't as important because we can do that next month. But the main thing we need to get is Android Studio and the emulator installed, because I think it's like 1.4 gigs or something. And I remember we tried to do this in the past, and everyone's on the Wi-Fi, and when everyone's trying to download like a gig file at the same time on free Wi-Fi, I think we ended up just drinking instead because we ran out of time. But yeah, any other questions? Yes. I think Dan was first.
So JDX.
Oh, hang on. We're gonna need you're getting the official microphone.
If you want your stuff to be heard.
For our one person. Two. One of them might be cleaned up. For JDX, you said it can reconstruct like the Java or Kotlin code.
Yeah.
So how effective is that? Because it's like it's compiled into like bytecode and then
Yeah.
reconstructed.
It'll decompile it perfectly. Just like JD GUI is like what I used to use. There's was it Binary Ninja now? It's pretty good. You can use that.
Oh, interesting.
But it's very simple.
But it's still obfuscated, right? So like.
A lot less than iOS. That's why I chose Android because it's a lot easier. It'll just go right into the Java files and you can see all the function names and everything. Yeah.
So, okay. Wow. Interesting. So
Yeah.
basically, if you have like intellectual property in an Android app.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? Question?
I think Ben.
Ooh, academic.
Cool.
You mentioned manifest files a few times, and I know in the manifest files you set permissions. My understanding from like working on these things is that you do the thing in the app, and then you have to set the permission in the manifest to match the thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
But is there any enforcement of that permission in the manifest file? Like, does the OS enforce it? Does anything else enforce it, or is it just like a pointer saying we do this?
I think it's just a pointer. Yeah. I
Okay.
don't think there's any enforcement at all. Yeah. Because I think you could just fill the manifest with like whatever you want, and it doesn't have to like it's just more a manifest. It's not there's no enforcement. Yeah, as far as I'm aware. That's a good question now. We're gonna have to ask. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT.
You mentioned like a list of tools here. Is there like an OS or like some kind of all-in-one package that might make this easier?
Not really. Like, so a lot of people use Kali, but there's no Kali Linux just because it has tools pre-installed. So it'll have, I don't think it has Android Studio, but it should have the rest of these pre-installed. But they're so easy to install on any OS that if you want to save yourself the trouble, or like we're not really doing anything malicious here, so all these apps are well known, all the demo labs and stuff too. So even you don't really have to worry about running them on your machine. And then on top of that, it's running in the emulator, so there's no real risk there. But you could just use Kali if you feel like it.
I'm just super lazy and have
Yeah.
a framework kicking around. So.
That's fine. I mean, just make a Kali Linux USB stick and boot to that. The problem being with that though is if you do that and you're using a physical device, then you start juggling like USB and it like you run into weird issues with that. So if you're doing it with the emulator, it should be fine. But I wouldn't test an actual thing from Kali. From a Kali live disk, I should say. Yeah.
Is the problem that with the security issues primarily based on that Android runs on Java for the most part? Because a lot of code, well, almost any code that you run on Java can be like or decompiled through the Java engine, so to speak. So
I don't think so. And just because the like Android itself is a lot more like open source and there's a lot more visibility what's going on, but I don't think there's necessarily more. I think there's more vulnerabilities now on macOS and iOS than there is on Linux and Android, but at least the last time I checked.
okay.
So it makes it easier as a tester, and I like testing Android better because iOS and the walled garden is just a pain in the ass. And then also now they're moving a lot of hardware protections on chip. So in the last few years, testing Android and iOS apps have become a total pain in the ass because now you need the pre-M chips to jailbreak. So it's hard to jailbreak like a modern iPhone. It's like nearly impossible.
Yeah.
And then the same with Google, at least like the Pixel phones, is now they have like the Titan security chip, so you can't even root modern phones really. So it's making it a lot more difficult.
Do you think Android would be a little easier if it switched to something like C# or C or something like that?
I don't think so. Like mostly iOS is Objective-C, and I don't know how much is Swift versus Objective-C, and then the same with Android. I don't know how much is Kotlin versus Java, but in my experience, it's all Java and all Objective-C, everything I've tested. The nice thing, like I said, is there's Android emulator and it's free, and you can just test it. I think Xcode has like an iOS emulator, and you can run devices. I haven't, but I'm not paying $199 a year for a developer account because just out of spite. I have Mac devices, but you guys know my stance on the walled garden. I take it personally. Yeah. I don't like having a device and then people telling me I can't do what I want with it. It really irks me.
Anyone else?
Any other other questions?
I'll just make a point. I don't need the mic. I just want to make a point on the Kotlin stuff.
Yeah.
Kotlin runs on the JVM, so
Yeah.
you might not actually ever know if something was written in Kotlin or not if you're
Right.
just decompiling it.
Right.
So I was just gonna.
Yeah, and like all this, so I don't go that deep into the code review, and when I do, it's like Java stuff. It's the Java stuff that I'm interested in anyway, because that's where what I'm looking for is going to be, what I find what I'm looking for.
I would bet that JetX is decompiling it into Java pseudocode anyway,
Yeah,
no matter what.
I think so. Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't really. The code review part is definitely where I kind of. You usually have like a week or two, so you're not doing like a super in-depth like code review where you're going nuts reverse engineering. And I'm not a reverse engineer. I just try to break things. Just a chimpanzee that they gave a keyboard to. So,
Same thing.
yeah. Any other questions?
Is it easy to just yoink an APK off the Google Play Store? Like, can you
Yep.
just get that in Android? Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's like free mirrors too. Like people mirror the entire like Play Store and just like rip it. Back.
Sure.
Yeah.
Be careful with the
Obviously,
Yes, yes.
only when there's a bug bounty.
Yeah. Be careful.
Handle
Be
first
careful.
to do
Yeah.
repackage the
Yes,
APK.
yes. Be careful with the mirrors because there can be malicious stuff included. In
Some of them repackage it for not necessarily malicious, but like
Yeah,
they do
yeah.
stuff. But
Yeah,
just,
yeah. So yeah, if it's an emulator and you're poking around, again, you don't want to do it with paid apps or something you don't have permission to test. But there's APKs everywhere for everything.
Can you just, like, in the Android Studio, is there like a Google Play Store? Like, can you just one-stop shop
I
it
think
there?
it's included. Yeah, I
Oh.
think it's included. So you can just log in with your Google account and download apps and run. You could run like a fake Android phone on your computer. You know, can't make calls from it that I know of that I've tried.
Can't do calls, can't do Bluetooth.
Can't do calls, can't do Bluetooth. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's fun to play around with, and I guess you guys will find out when you go home and do your homework what you can do with it. But if you run into any issues, like I said, just ask in the Discord. We're all here. I think a few of us have used it before. And then also, like I said, ChatGPT or whatever is a great resource. So especially now, I feel like the barriers to entry to getting into anything are so low. Like I was saying before the talk, like I used to have my biggest barrier to entry was just starting side projects, let alone finishing them. Nobody finishes side projects, but that's everyone. But starting them or coming up with ideas and starting them was hard for me. But now I can just be like, hey, how do I do this? And it's like, here's your prototype. I'm like, okay. 5 minutes later, have like a working prototype. Yeah. Any other questions?